Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're digging into something literally fundamental to how we live, how we lead, and honestly, how we thrive. We're talking about the concept of the taproot. Think about a massive, sprawling vine in a dense forest. We spend so much of our time obsessed with the branches, right? Our achievements, our daily to-do lists, the stuff everyone sees. But today, we're going underground. We are exploring how that central, hidden taproot is the ultimate driver of lasting growth, real resilience, and true purpose.
Hall of Fame basketball coach George Raveling loves to pose this uncomfortable but absolutely brilliant diagnostic question. What actually stands in the way of human connection? And you know what's fascinating? Across philosophers, elite athletes, and legendary coaches, the answer is remarkably consistent. It's always ego. It's always certainty. It's that hardened, rigid opinion we just stop examining.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at the incredibly dramatic, real-life story of the legendary golfer Payne Stewart. For most of his career, Payne was thriving by every possible external measure. He won 24 PGA Tour events. He was the literal life of the party, famous for wearing those flashy knickers and NFL colors out on the course. But it was a totally ego-driven persona. Then, in 1998, something shifted. He found faith. He basically traded in performance for inner peace and this profound sense of equanimity. Just months before his tragic, fatal plane crash, he won the 1999 U.S. Open with this incredibly settled, quiet grounding. The world was just beginning to see his true self bloom, all because he had finally found his root.
Part 1. Connection as the source.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because if we want to dissect exactly how a profound human transformation like Payne Stewart's actually happens, we kind of need a roadmap. Think of it like a thematic map where right at the center is the vine. Every single philosophical concept we're going to cover today, from equanimity and intentional action to patience and how we use our time, flows directly from and must return right back to that central root of connection. Basically, the whole shebang starts at the root.
There's this piece of ancient wisdom that says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And it just perfectly captures the structural reality of our lives. Legendary football coach Tony Dungy uses a brilliant modern analogy for this. He points out that if you walk into a forest and take a pair of shears to the central taproot, a branch might still look strong for a few days. It might even look vibrant. But make no mistake, its life has stopped flowing. It's merely surviving on borrowed strength.
Part 2. Ego, the severed connection.
Which brings us to the most dangerous threat to our growth. We've got to identify the enemy within that actively cuts our branch from the vine. Think of ego as those shears. Author Ryan Holiday spent years studying leaders, both the ones who succeeded and the ones who totally self-destructed. And he found that ego rarely looks like cartoonish villainy. Instead, it masquerades as strength and certainty. It's that subtle, incredibly dangerous belief that the branch has somehow outgrown the root. It forces us into this performance of our identity that quietly, day by day, seals us off from our true source.
You know, psychologist Carol Dweck gives us the perfect vocabulary for this clash. A fixed mindset? That is the ego at work, obsessed with outcomes, obsessed with performance, studying simply to be more known. But a growth mindset, that focuses on the process and the connection. It keeps our branch porous, humble, and receptive. We study not to be known, but to actually know more.
Part 3. Letting go of certainty. We spend our entire lives learning how to form opinions, don't we? But true growth requires a crucial and honestly rarely taught skill, dropping our heavy armor of certainty. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Man, James Baldwin's words there are so powerful. They remind us that true leaders have to have the courage to face the gap between the self they perform for the world and the self they actually are. You literally have to look at what's actually there.
Part 4. The mirror and inner discipline. Let's see how this builds as we step up to the mirror and confront our deep, inner fears of simply not being enough. George Raveling offers this beautiful paradigm shift. We usually think of peace as the absence of difficulty, right? Like the moment when all our problems are finally resolved. But it's not. Peace is the quality of genuine contact. It's the raw, unfiltered connection of one human spirit to another, or to the source of our own life.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that maintaining this peace requires equanimity. And equanimity is not about suppressing your emotions or pasting on some fake cheerfulness. It is a discipline of rootedness. It's bending but not breaking when the wind hits you. As Eckhart Tolle says, it can be as simple as taking one conscious breath to find your way right back to the root.
This dynamic perfectly illustrates our daily battle. Our ego absolutely feeds on the thieves of connection. Comparison pulls us sideways, and distraction pulls us away from the present moment. True connection, however, relies on real luxuries: time, health, a quiet mind, slow mornings. And notice how absolutely none of those real luxuries require you to compare yourself to anyone else to acquire them.
Part 5. The right building.
I really want you to pay close attention here, because this might be the explainer's sharpest warning about the incredible danger of misplaced ambition. I want to challenge you directly with this question. Are you leaning your ladder against the wrong building? Think about it. You can be enormously disciplined, relentlessly driven, climbing faster than anyone else around you. But if that wall is built entirely on vanity and ego, just like Payne Stewart experienced early in his career, your immense discipline is literally being wasted.
This completely alters how we view the people around us. When you are competing against someone, you are measuring your own worth by their diminishment. It is a scarcity mindset that actively severs your connection. But competing with someone, that uses their growth as fuel. It acts like iron sharpening iron, deepening the roots for both of you. The vine is not scarce, folks.
Baroness Louise Lezen, who is Queen Victoria's governess, understood this deeply. Notice her phrasing. She said she did not create, but nourished the princess's qualities. Great leaders, great coaches, great parents, they aren't sculptors forcing inert clay into some predetermined shape. They act as gardeners, nourishing what the ground has already naturally put forth.
Part 6. Staying connected.
All right, it is time to move from abstract philosophy into practical, everyday action that you can literally use today. Ask yourself this ultimate diagnostic question. Am I leading from a need to prove myself or a commitment to improve myself? The first is performance. The second is connection. Every single honest answer you give to this question is a literal step back toward the root.
So I want you to leave this explainer ready to engage in some active life coaching. Here are your highly specific commitments for this week. Pick one old belief you've defended forever and genuinely examine it. In just one conversation, resist the overwhelming urge to be right. Ask a colleague or friend to actively challenge your thinking. Choose humility over ego in your very next meeting. And finally, face just one thing you know you have been putting off and avoiding. You can do this.
I want to wrap things up with this incredibly evocative thought from Jess Bird. How lucky are we to have people who love us as we bloom into every version of ourselves? True community is the living network of the vine. They don't demand that you arrive fully formed. They love the blooming branch as it continues to grow and stretch toward the light. So, my final question to you is this. What version of yourself are you allowing to bloom today? And are you staying connected to the root to make it happen?